everyone, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we are going to be working with the collection called Fall Farmhouse from Simple Stories. We are going to be using 4 coordinating pieces of cardstock. 2 are called pumpkin and 2 are called leaf. So the leaf color is that green and the pumpkin is obviously that burnt orange color. We're also going to be adding on the chipboard stickers, the journaling bits and pieces, and the enamel dots. The 12 by 12 collection kit includes this sticker sheet along with 12 pattern papers. There's 1 of each different design, and we are going to be using 6 pieces of pattern paper. So we're going to be using 4 as our background pages and 2 as our accent pages. Okay, so we're going to be making 4 single layouts today. And I'm just going to go through the thought process behind planning out my pages and planning out which pattern papers that I want to use today. Okay, so starting off here, I just go through and I flip over all of the journaling card papers. As you've seen in my last week's video, I like to save journaling cards and use them for other things and make more pages with them potentially. So I always put them to the side initially. If I do need to use the back side of them, I will. But if I do have the choice to save them, I do like to do that. So for the remaining papers, I just go through and flip over like the side of the page that I like the best. Sometimes I like both sides and I'll just kind of put it to the back and know that I'll, can look at both sides of it later on. This is just sort of a process of elimination, just sort of looking at all the pages that are there and taking a mental note of what's available. Okay, so this striped paper, it was a toss-up between the plaid paper and the striped paper. I really did like the striped paper though. It incorporated the colors of the cardstock that I have, and I think it's going to work well with the rest of the papers that I'm choosing as backgrounds. Okay, so there's 2 versions of this like checkered, like plaid kind of paper here. I'm going to choose those as my backgrounds. I think they're a little bit more, they're not as busy, a little bit more basic in their coloring, so I'm going to choose those as my background pages. That way the embellishments stick out a lot on top. I also really like this floral based paper. It incorporates that pumpkin color really nicely. Here, this plaid paper, I do love it. Like, if I didn't have that striped paper, that would be my other accent paper. So here I did contemplate using the orange side of this striped paper rather than using the striped side so that I could use that plaid paper, but I just thought that that striped paper was too busy on top of that floral background. And I really did like the writing on this side. So I did choose that page as my second accent. Because of the writing, I really like that it's just more of like, it's closer to like more of a, like the wording in that accent paper is almost like a wood grain, and I just like that it's gonna go well with my background pages and my cardstock. Okay, so between these last 2 here, for my final background paper, I did like them both, but I did feel like the words competed with each other. So if I were to put that accent paper that has the words on it on top of this paper, I just think it wouldn't work well. It's just too much font and too much text on both pages to make it really work well. So this here, these wreaths are going to be my 4th and final background paper. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We have cutting diagrams in my tutorial videos, and I just kind of want to let you know how to read them. So there's the number in top in inches, and that's going to be the size that we're going to cut that cut piece into. And there's a number below it in a circle. So a lot of the times we're making 4 pages or 6 pages when we're using these cutting diagrams, and all these cut pieces can sort of get very disorganized. So that number inside of the circle there represents a pile that you're going to put that cut piece into. So for a 4-page tutorial, we're going to make 4 piles. And for a 6-page tutorial, we're going to make 6 piles. So the numbers are going to be either 1 through 4 or 1 through 6. So page 1 is going to have all the cut pieces that have a circle with the number 1 inside, and so on for the 4 or 6 pages. So now we're going to go ahead and take all pieces of our cardstock, and we are going to cut 1 inch in, 1 inch from the top, and 1 inch from the bottom. And we're going to make a straight line on all 4 sides of each of these pieces of cardstock. What we're basically doing is cutting a 10 by 10 inch square out of the center of this piece of cardstock. The border is going to be put into our pile, and the center, the 10 by 10 inch center, is going to be put to the side, and we're going to be cutting it with another cutting diagram as soon as we're done cutting out all of these squares. If you notice right here, I actually accidentally cut at 3/4 of an inch, not 1 inch, and so I made an extra slice in my paper there, but we're going to just deal with that when we have to go assemble our pages. Now we're going to go ahead and cut the backgrounds for our pages. So we are going to be cutting the barcode strip off along with 1/2 inch, and then 1/2 inch on the other side. So we're going to be making an 11.5 inch by 11.5 inch square for all of our background papers. Okay, so normally when I do this cutting guide with this page, we have that green cardstock going horizontal on the page, and then we put a 5x7 there or 2 4x6 vertical photos. But because of the writing on my accent paper here, I kind of wanted to do a vertical layout with this green cardstock instead, and put 1 4x6 photo horizontal on it, and just change up the layout on this page compared to what I normally do. Okay, so here I sliced that paper on the side when I cut 3/4 of an inch instead of 1 inch for my border. I'm just going to cover it with my base page, and I think it'll be fine. Okay, so here I'm just taking up all of my journaling cards and my extra 12 by 12 pattern paper, and I'm cutting it into 4 by 6 inch pieces. So all of my spare pieces of paper, because I intend to do pocket pages with the leftovers in this kit, I'm taking my leftover 12 by 12 pattern paper and cutting them into 4 by 6 squares, or sorry, pieces, and then I just cut up the rest of my journaling cards into their appropriate sizes. And I'm putting them out in front of me because I do intend to use some of them on our pages as extra embellishments. And so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to get started here by just spreading out everything in front of us so that we can see sizes, colors, and be inspired by stuff on the table. Okay, so this scallop border here from our sticker sheet, I'm just going to cut it and use it to layer behind that titling that says thankful. And I guess the whole concept for this page for me is going to be just making clusters. So what I want to do is just make 3 different clusters. So I'm going to do one at the top of that 4 by 6 photo, one at the bottom of that 3 by 4 photo, and then one in the bottom corner underneath that 4 by 6 photo area. And I'm gonna create 3 of those clusters and try and make a triangle on the page. So sometimes we like to make like smaller triangles with like enamel dots just to tie in a cluster, but then sometimes you can use the cluster themselves in a triangle formation on the page just to tie everything really well together. And what I like to do too with my clusters is anchor them to the photo areas and sort of take those clusters and create them outwards from my photos. That way the pictures really become the focal point and everything just sort of goes out from there. And I feel like you can, like when you do maybe like a background that's more one color like this, it really helps to have a contrast with the embellishments and make them stick up, like it just makes them pop off the page a little bit more. So like, you know, that little title that says "So Grateful" at the top in that cluster, you can really see it well because it contrasts with the background page. Okay, so I'm just gonna finish off these clusters here and just work my way with layers and work my way out from the pictures, like I mentioned earlier. So I know that I had kind of talked about just creating these 3 focal points, these 3 areas with these clusters on the page, but I just felt like that top corner needed a little bit of something extra, so I anchored those 2 little pieces just to the side of my page and made them come in. So I didn't feel like it distracted from the page or made it too busy, so I decided to add that up there. And I really, really wanted to use this banner. I love this banner from the chipboard stickers. I didn't end up using it on this page. I moved it around a bit, and I just didn't like the way it was going to be working with my 4x6 journaling card here and my titling. I do want to put this word fall here. I think it's like a big, bold word that we can put on the page, and I like that it's really sort of like the center and focal point of the page. So I anchored it to the 4x6 photo, but I tried to keep it central on the page itself. I do end up moving it down, and I kind of regret doing it now. So what I did is I popped up with foam squares this 3x4 journaling card that I had trimmed down that I'm going to anchor onto this other 3x4 journaling card, which I'm just going to use the base of it as sort of like a border, I'll make a mat around it. But what happened is when I put it onto the page, that fall titling, the chipboard stickers, ended up being the same height as my popped up 3x4 journaling card. So now looking back, I wish I wouldn't have popped it up. I wished I would have just taken that orange 3x4 journaling card and anchored it down directly to the page and left that fall titling there underneath my 4x6 photo. But I improvised, and I left it the way it was, and I moved this fall titling down to the bottom of that journaling card, that 4x6 journaling card. And then I sort of used this 4x6 journaling card as sort of an anchor for my embellishments around it. So I surrounded it by embellishments and created a little bit of I created some flow on the page that way. Okay, so on this page, I wanted to incorporate some of the circle shapes that come with the embellishments and things. And I knew that I wanted a more vertical cluster along the left side of that 4x6 photo area. So that thankful title that's really tall and narrow, I just love that piece, and I decided to sort of cluster based on that. So I put this other small little journaling piece here. You can choose to journal in it or just put the date on it. And then I layered on top of it with a chipboard piece, and I finished that cluster off with that circle shape, which was going to tie into that upper cluster area with more of those circle shapes. So I really struggled on the top here because even though I like what's going on, I feel like I'm not going to be able to create sort of another big cluster. So along the top there, it would just be like like I feel like it's just too separated. So what I did is I decided to create a cluster that was all together. So like kind of like a big mega cluster at the top of those pictures rather than two separate ones. So I tied it together with this popped up sticker that says Hello Fall. So I put another journaling card there. And then I anchored those two together with a square shape that says Hello Fall. Okay, and then I'm just gonna work my cluster out from these two pieces as an anchor. Okay, and then to finish off, just to kind of give more balance to this page here, I decided to put that little chipboard sticker that says Thankful on the right side of that 3x4 photo area. Okay, so for our last page here, I am determined to use that banner piece. I just love it. I think it's beautiful, and I mean, as you can see, I've tried to use it on a few different pages, and it would work on any of them. I really like the coloring and the design of it, and the flower accent. So here I am going to create sort of a large collection of embellishments along the bottom of these photo areas. I'm going to only do a few pieces along the top. I kind of want the focal point to be for the embellishments to be underneath those photos. So here would be a great place to put like a title, so a big titling. I'm choosing not to put a big titling. Like you could do like a person's name or the name of a place, whatever. You can even do maybe numerical letters with like the date. That would look really, really good as well. So I just try to remember that when I'm using chipboard pieces that I don't like to put them next to each other. So like this, the truck that says Farm Fresh, it would have looked really, really nice next to the banner. But it just, two pieces of chipboard next to each other, I feel like it just doesn't look as well. It doesn't layer as nicely. And here I'm just using this journaling card. Even though we're not really going to journal with it, I'm just using it because it has such a blank area in the middle that we can layer it behind things. Okay, and I'm just gonna, that sticker, that flower sticker just wasn't working at the top of that blessed titling, so I replaced it with a flower that was a chipboard piece just because it had a different texture than the rest of the stuff. And as you can see, throughout all of these pages today, I finished off my clusters with enamel dots. So a lot of times what I did is I took colors that were the same. So at the top here where it says blessed, with the enamel dots, what I'm going to do is put like one, there's like a grayish blue kind of a colored enamel dot, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put like a large one in one area, a medium one in another area, and then a small one sort of in another area there. Okay, and so I do that with various clusters throughout the video today. Okay, so now I'm just packing everything up. I am going to save. I have a lot of embellishments left. I have a lot of stickers left and a lot of journaling cards left, so I am going to pack this all away and save it to make pocket pages, as you saw I did last week. It's a great way to use leftovers. Thank you so much for watching today's video. We will see you next Friday with a brand new video.